Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go!
Alright, so there I was, just a regular guy with a window seat on a long-haul flight. I packed some snacks, charged up my tablets, and was all set to enjoy a good movie. Little did I know, the flight was about to turn into a roller coaster of entitlement and drama thanks to none other than Karen. I settled into my seat, put on my headphones, and started watching this action-packed movie I've been meaning to see. Things were going great, snacks in hand, movie on point, when suddenly I felt a tap on my shoulder. I turned to see this lady with the infamous "I need to speak to your manager" haircut, and I swear my heart sank. "Excuse me," she said, all huffy and puffy, "but your movie is bothering me. I can't concentrate with all this noise." I pulled off my headphones trying to wrap my head around what she was saying. I mean, we were on a plane and the hum of the engines was louder than my movie. But I'm a chill guy, so I decided to be reasonable. "Oh, I'm sorry if it's too loud. I apologize. I can lower the volume or switch to a different movie if that works for you." Now you think that will be the end of it, right? Oh no, not with Karen. She huffed again, acting like I just insulted her entire family. "It's not just a noise," she declared, crossing her arms. "I find those action movies offensive. You should watch something more appropriate." I blinked, genuinely surprised. I mean, we're on a plane, right? Everyone's got their own preferences, but demanding I change my movie to something more appropriate? That's a bit much. I tried to reason with her. "I'm sorry, but I really want to watch something. How about I switch to a different genre, maybe comedy or drama?" Karen squinted at me. "No, you need to turn it off. I can't believe they allow such filth on flights." At this point, I could feel the eyes of nearby passengers on us. I don't want to cause a scene, so I took a deep breath and tried to compromise. "Look, I'll use subtitles so you won't hear a thing. Is that okay?" Karen wasn't having it. She rolled her eyes. "Subtitles won't solve the problem. Just turn it off. It's that simple." I could feel frustration building up, but I kept my cool. "I'm sorry, but I'm going to keep watching my movie. It's a long flight and I want to enjoy it." Now this is where things went from mildly annoying to completely insane. Karen, not getting her way, decided to escalate things. She stood up and she started shouting, "This man is watching inappropriate content. Someone help!" The flight attendants rushed over looking confused and probably regretting their career choices at that moment. "What's going on here?" one of them asked. Karen pointed at me like I was a criminal mastermind. "He's watching violent and offensive material. Make him stop." I tried to explain. "I'm just watching a regular action movie with headphones on." I've offered to compromise, but she wants me to turn it off completely. The flight attendant looked at Karen, clearly unimpressed. "Ma'am, passengers are allowed to watch their own entertainment. If the noise is bothering you, we can offer you a pair of headphones." Karen wasn't having any of it. She pointed her finger at the flight attendant. "No, you need to do something about this. It's your responsibility to maintain order on this plane." At this point, the captain had come out of the cockpit, probably wondering why there was chaos on his peaceful flight. "What seems to be the problem here?" he asked. Karen wasted no time. "This man is watching inappropriate material, and your crew is doing nothing about it." The captain, clearly uninterested in Karen's theatrics, turned to the flight attendants. "Is there an actual issue here, or can we all go back to flying in peace?" The flight attendant explained the situation and the captain just shook his head. "Ma'am, passengers are allowed to watch movies. If it's bothering you, we can try to find you another seat." But Karen wasn't about to give up. She pointed her finger at me again. "He needs to be punished for this. You people are letting him get away with it." Now, here is where things took a darker turn. Karen, not getting the response she wanted, decided to take matters into her own hands. She reached over trying to grab my tablet, and I instinctively pulled it away, and that's when all hell broke loose. "Give that to me. You don't deserve to have it," Karen screeched. I held onto my tablet, bewildered by the sudden violence. The flight attendants and the captain were now trying to calm Karen down, but she was like a hurricane with a "let me speak to the manager" attitude. "You can't just attack someone on a plane," I shouted, genuinely shocked at the turn of events. Karen, not listening to reason, slapped me across the face. Yep, you read that right, slapped me across the face. I couldn't believe it. The entire cabin gasped, and for a moment, time seemed to stand still. The captain, realizing this was way beyond his pay grade, radioed for security to meet the plane upon landing. The flight attendants managed to restrain Karen, who was now screaming about her rights being violated. The rest of the flight was a blur, and I was in a shock. The passengers were in a shock, and Karen was causing a scene all the way until we touched down. As soon as the wheels hit the ground, security personnel came on board. Karen was escorted off the plane like the unruly toddler she was. I gave a statement to the authorities and they assured me they would handle the situation. As we disembarked, I could see Karen being detained, still yelling about how she was a victim in all of this. In the end, Karen got what she deserved and I got to finish my movie in peace. It's a story I'll be telling for a long time, and you bet I'll be avoiding window seats on future flights. You never know when a wild Karen might appear at 30,000 feet. I'm a college kid who works part-time as a private security officer on a graveyard shift. I mostly do bicycle patrol, which means I'm riding from client property to client property doing nightly checks, as opposed to sitting at a desk. One night I ride up to one of my properties and see that there is a trespasser in the back corner of the parking lot. As I get closer I can see that it's an elderly guy who's a walker, and he has his pants down. I politely inform him that he's trespassing on private property and needs to move. He replies that he's stuck and demands that I help him get his pants back on. His expression and tone make it pretty damn blatant that he's saying this because I'm a female officer and corporate says we aren't allowed to provide medical assistance under any circumstances anyway. So I tell him no, I'm not allowed to do that. He completely loses it at being told no and starts screaming that I better either help him up or he's going to call the police on me. I tell him that I'll be happy to involve the police and proceed to inform him that he is now officially excluded from the property. We're supposed to tell every trespasser that because it's a legally binding notice of trespass, but we usually don't because going off on a multi-paragraph legal spiel is really annoying and tends to escalate situations. But he said he wanted police and that means I'm going to do everything by the book and write a full report. Needless to say, he gets madder and madder as I go through all the legally required points for exclusion and then call the police, and pretty much goes off on a litany of completely uncreative insults that every security officer has heard 1,000 times already. I politely remind him that police are on the way and that he will likely be arrested for criminal trespass if he's still here when they arrive. Redoubled litany of insults, still no new ones. Sigh, whatever, have it your way. A police officer arrives, faster response than usual for a non-emergency call. It's an officer I've met before because this parking lot is one of her favorite spots to park her cruiser and do paperwork while patrolling this side of town. I point out the trespasser and state for the record that he has been formally excluded. He, unironically, demands that she arrest me for harassing him and goes off on her when she points out that I'm doing my job and that he's trespassing. Note that the local police are generally very reluctant to actually arrest anyone just for trespassing. It's a lot of paperwork for what is ultimately a trivial misdemeanor offense. Legally speaking, if security has already issued an exclusion, the police can make an immediate arrest for criminal trespass without giving the person any further chance to leave. But they pretty much never do this. They will give trespassers every opportunity to just back up and leave quietly, which is fine with us because we don't want to do more paperwork either. But annoys our corporate masters who would like to impress our clients by generating arrests for every single trespasser we catch. But this guy is stubborn enough to actually get himself arrested. So there I was, chilling with my two munchkins, Timmy and Lily, on a regular Sunday at the local park. We're enjoying the swings, the slides, you know, the usual kiddie fun. All of a sudden, this lady comes storming over and she's got the entitled Karen written all over her face. Excuse me. I look up, trying to be polite, you know. Hi there. What's up? Why are your kids playing with those kids? I'm like, what in the world is she talking about? My kids are just playing with the other kids at the park. Normal, right? They are just making friends. That's what kids do. Well, they shouldn't be playing with those kids. At this point, I'm starting to get the feeling that this lady is one of those entitled types. You know, the ones who think they own the place. Excuse me? I don't want my precious angels associating with those kind of people. You need to make your kids stop playing with them. I'm thinking, is she serious? But I try to keep it cool. Lady, my kids can play with whoever they want. We're all just having fun here. But Karen doesn't seem to like that answer. Well, I won't stand for it. You need to control your kids. I roll my eyes. Lady, I am not the playground police. They are just being kids here. But Karen, she wasn't having any of it. She huffs off, muttering something about lowering standards. I shake my head and go back to watching my kids play. Fast forward a bit and my kids are having a blast. But then Karen comes back with a park security guard in tow. Seriously, lady? Officer, these kids are harassing my children. I demand you do something. The park security guard says, "Alright, let's all calm down. What seems to be the problem?" Karen starts going on about how my kids are causing trouble, messing with her angels, you know the drill. I'm standing there trying to not lose my cool. Officer, all they are doing is playing with the other kids. Nothing wrong with that. Security guard looks at Karen, then at me. Ma'am, they are just having fun. There is no issue here. Karen raises her voice. This is unacceptable. I demand you arrest this woman for allowing her kids to associate with those troublemakers. Security guard gives her a puzzled look. Ma'am, I can't arrest someone for letting their kids play at the park. But Karen wasn't backing down. She starts going on about how those kids are a bad influence and how she won't stand for it. She even throws in a few words that make me think, yep, this lady is full on nuts. Lady, seriously, let it go. We're just here to enjoy the day. But Karen was having none of it. I'll have you know, I'm calling the police myself. Security guard just shrugs, clearly fed up with Karen's nonsense. Ma'am, feel free to call the police if you want, but there is no crime here. Well, Karen pulls out her phone and she starts dialing. I roll my eyes and decide to keep an eye on my kids. Now you'd think that would be the end of it, right? Oh no, buckle up, because Karen takes things to a whole new level. A little while later, I see a couple of police officers strolling towards us. I'm thinking, what on earth is happening now? Officer Todd says, "Excuse me folks, we got a report of a disturbance." I explained the whole situation about Karen not liking her kids playing with the other kids. Her demands for arrests and the park security guard saying there is no issue. He chuckles and says, "Alright, let's go talk to this lady." We all head over to Karen, who is looking smug like she's just won a lottery or something. "Ma'am, we heard there is a disturbance." "Yes, finally. Someone who takes things seriously. These kids are causing trouble and that woman over there won't do anything about it." Officer Todd looks at me waiting for my side of the story. "Officer, my kids are just playing like every other kid out there. I don't know what her deal is." "Alright, let's all calm down. What's the issue here?" Karen launches into her tirade again, going on about those kids and how they are ruining everything. Officer Todd listens patiently, then turns to me. "And what's your side of the story?" I tell him how my kids are just having a good time making friends and how Karen seems to have a problem with that. "Ma'am, I'm sorry, but there is no crime here. Kids playing at the park is not a disturbance." Karen gets red in the face at this point. "Are you kidding me? You're just as useless as a security guard." "Ma'am, please lower your voice. We're not here to arrest anyone for playing at the park." At this point, Karen loses it. She starts screaming about how the world is going to the dogs and how nobody respects her anymore. I'm just standing there trying not to laugh at the absurdity of the situation. "Fine, if you won't do anything, then I'll take matters into my own hands." She storms off and I'm thinking, good riddance. But oh no, this Karen wasn't done causing chaos. A little while later, we hear sirens approaching. I'm thinking, what now? Lo and behold, Karen managed to call the police on herself. I didn't even know that was possible. 2 more police officers show up and Karen is pointing at me like I'm some criminal mastermind. "Seriously, lady?" Officer Rodriguez says, "We received a call about a disturbance." Officer Todd explains the whole situation to the new officers and they look at Karen like she's lost her marbles. "Ma'am, you called the police on yourself?" "Yes, because nobody else would do anything about these delinquents." Officer Rodriguez to Officer Todd, "Is this true?" "No, ma'am, there is no crime here, just kids playing at the park." Karen gets frustrated. "Well, if you won't arrest her, then arrest me." The officer exchange looks. clearly baffled by Karen's demand. "Ma'am, we can just arrest someone for no reason. This is outrageous. I demand justice." At this point, I'm trying not to burst out laughing. I can't believe this is actually happening. Officer Todd calmly says, "Ma'am, if there is no crime, there is nothing we can do here. Please let everyone enjoy their day at the park." Karen, realizing she's not getting her way, huffs off in a dramatic fashion, and I think to myself, thank God, that's over. But nope, Karen had one more trick up her sleeve. As I'm getting ready to leave, I see Karen talking to another group of police officers. I can't hear what she's saying, but she's pointing at me and my kids. I'm like, "Seriously, lady, give it a rest." Next thing I know, the officers are heading my way. "Excuse me, ma'am, we need to talk to you." Now I'm starting to get a little annoyed. What could she possibly be telling them now? "We received a complaint about your behavior at the park." What? I have not done anything. The complaint alleges that you're causing a disturbance and refusing to comply with park rules. I explained the whole situation, how Karen didn't like her kids playing with the other kids, how she called the police on herself, and how the other officers said there was no crime. "Ma'am, we still need to investigate that complaint." I'm thinking, investigate what? We're just trying to have a peaceful day at the park here. But I cooperate because I know I haven't done anything wrong. They take statements from me, Karen, and even some of the other park goers who witnessed the whole thing. After what feels like an eternity, the officers huddle up. "Ma'am, after reviewing the statements, it's clear there is no merit to the complaint. You're free to go." I thank the officers, gather up my kids, and head home. What a day, right? A few days later, I hear through the grapevine that Karen got herself into even more trouble. Turns out she decided to take her crusade against those kids to the next level. She started going around the neighborhood complaining to anyone who would listen about the delinquents at the park. She even went to the local school and tried to get the principal to ban the kids she didn't like. Well, that didn't sit well with the community. People started speaking up, defending the kids and their right to play at the park. The school dismissed Karen's complaints, and the community rallied behind the idea that everyone, regardless of background, deserves a chance to enjoy a sunny day at the park. But here is a real twist. Karen, in her desperate attempt to be the neighborhood vigilante, ended up getting herself arrested. Why, you ask? Turns out, during one of her rants, she made some racist comments that didn't sit well with the authorities. Someone recorded her spewing hate speech and handed it over to the police. Karma really has a way of catching up, doesn't it? So there you have it. The day Karen tried to police the playground and ended up getting herself arrested for spreading hate. Moral of the story: don't mess with a mom trying to enjoy a peaceful day at the park with her kids. And definitely don't be a racist, entitled Karen. I share custody of my 8-year-old son, Elliot, with my ex. It's mostly split and we have a calendar that we revise if needed. Usually we swap him every week, but around holidays we extend the times. So the ex gets him for half of this month and I get the other half. The reasoning for this month's schedule is that she was planning on spending Christmas with her soulmate back at his home state. I wasn't planning on traveling, just Christmas at home. This week, the ex said that her soulmate wanted to take her and Ellie on a skiing Christmas holiday and could she actually have him the last 2 weeks of December. I said, so let me get this straight. You have him for 2 weeks already and now you're asking for another 2 weeks? Or does that leave me? She told me we can talk about it afterwards. I said no, we can't. I'll tell you what, you give me money up front so he and I could take a summer vacation. She said that was outrageous. I said not as outrageous as asking me to give up my time up front and you refusing to give me anything up front in return. And yes, I'll be willing to negotiate if I asked her to give up her time and let it be known and not hang up like she did. My son might not even want to go. He probably would rather stay with daddy and spend the Christmas break on playdates and sleepovers with his friends. And now some comments on the post. Someone saying you are the jerk. This is your child, not something to be used as a way to get a free vacation. The fact that the first thing to come to your mind was money instead of wanting to spend time with him is a huge red flag. I would have hung up on you two. Work together to get those 2 weeks back at a later time. After all, you would rather spend time with your child than have some extra money, right? Also, please don't make a habit of taking away opportunities from your son because of petty things with your ex. Ask your son if he's interested in going skiing. If not, explain to your ex. If so, ask your ex to revise the calendar together. Either way, you owe her and your son an apology. Another commenter says, "You are the jerk. Why can't you have Elliot from now until he goes on holiday, and then she has him the last 2 weeks when they are on holiday?" Edit to add, unless your ex is asking you to pay for the holiday, which she isn't, you have no right to demand her to pay for your holiday. The third commenter goes with, "You are the jerk. Yet again, a parent is more interested in a fight with the other parent, but they fail to actually think about the actual important person, their child. You don't actually give two hoots about your kid, otherwise instead of asking his mother to pay for your holiday, you would have actually asked him what he'd like. You haven't. You assumed. A skiing holiday is a great experience and you would deny him that because that means his mother got a bit more time with him. There are ways around this that don't hurt the child, but you're too busy trying to get one over your ex to actually care and think about it." When I was in high school, I had the typical minimum wage cashier job. It was store policy to ask for a legal government ID when a customer purchased cigarettes or alcohol. We had to ID every customer who looked like they could be under 35. If you didn't and they turned out to be underage, you could be fired. If caught in an in-store quality check, or arrested if caught by a regulatory agency. There was no way in hell 16-year-old me was going to risk getting fired or arrested for a bad minimum wage job. So I ID'd everybody. Now 99% of the time the person reacted amicably, handed over their ID and went on their way. But on occasion, I would end up with some Karen or Chad who had left their ID in a car and wanted me to proceed without the ID check. One particularly Karen, who looked to be in her late 40s, would come in to buy cigarettes and never had an ID. So I refused to sell her cigarettes. She'd pitch a fit and storm out. After doing this 3 or 4 times, I guess she had enough and whined to my manager. I had to go on a break at this point, so I didn't have a chance to actually look at her ID that time either. The following week, Karen returned and once again tried to buy her cigarettes without ID. As usual, I requested a driving license and the usual circus ensued. Manager asked me afterwards why I still asked for an ID after he had completed her purchase himself the last time. I pointed out that I had yet to actually see the ID myself. Therefore, as per company policy, I couldn't assume that he had done his job and confirmed her ID. I had to keep asking until I confirmed her age myself. She continued to come to the store and throw the same tantrum for a few more months before I moved away. I never saw her ID and I refused to sell her cigarettes for a solid 6 months, I think. Edit: for those of you concerned that this lady didn't have / couldn't afford ID, she was driving a brand new BMW Z3. Finances were not an issue. I, female 22, have an older brother, male 29. He has 3 kids, ages 9, 7, and 7. I don't have a lot of disposable income for multiple reasons, and I have been strict with my Christmas budget. For my siblings, I've had a budget of 30 euros per child, which I know isn't a lot. My sister-in-law is very particular about things and is trying to be one of those mommy blogger influencers. It feels like with the kids' Christmas and birthday presents, I can never get it right and I wouldn't be surprised if my gifts end up in the garbage. She's usually polite and grateful to my face, but then my mom or brother will contact me and complain about my sister-in-law's complaining about my gifts. She usually makes a gift list for Christmas and birthdays for the kids, but all of the items on these lists are over 80 euros. This year, all of them are over 100 euros. There is no way I could afford that. In Christmas 2021, I got all the kids cute outfits, each with cartoon characters they like. They loved them, but I never saw the kids wear them. And I got an earful from everyone saying my sister-in-law was complaining. For 2022 Christmas, I got them all Lego sets each. Sister-in-law complained to me endlessly and said that she doesn't want to be picking up Lego pieces every night. This year, I'm just giving the kids gift cards so they can pick out toys that are approved by their mom. Recently, my brother and sister-in-law asked me what I'm getting the kids for Christmas and I told them that I'm giving them gift cards. My sister-in-law said, well, that's not very Christmassy, and she left it at that. To be honest, at the time I thought she was just making a dry joke. Anyway, now my brother is complaining to me and saying that his wife is really not happy with me because I haven't bought anything off the wish list. I told him straight that it's because all the items are too expensive. He said I should have said that from the beginning instead of just ignoring it and buying gift cards. He said the kids are too young for gift cards when they can't go and buy the stuff themselves without help from the parents, and I should have asked first. I argued that he and his wife know I don't have a lot of money, and of course I'd love to spoil my nipplings, but I do not have 300 plus euros to spend on people's kids. Am I the wrong for this? And there was some comments on the post. Someone saying you're not the jerk, but your sister-in-law and brother are. Your sister-in-law sounds incredibly spoiled. Christmas lists are for parents and grandparents if they themselves ask for one. And the kids make them, not the mom. You don't send out a list for extended family members to purchase from. This isn't a wedding registry, it's Christmas. Another commenter adds, not the jerk. I never understand why people think gift cards are not a real gift. It means you can go get what you want. And isn't that the kind of gift we'd all like to receive? Frankly, due to their complaints, I'd be tempted to give no gifts at all. It can be news to your brother and sister-in-law that you can't afford more on presents. His complaints seem bizarre. They can't buy stuff themselves without help from their parents, so why is that an issue? If you still get complaints, I'd just stop giving them gifts in the future. A third commenter goes with, not the jerk. Your brother and everyone who reaches out to you about your entitled, ungrateful sister-in-law are fistering jerks, cause he should have nipped that crab in the bud years ago. Aside from personal finances, there is a globe economic pinch that is impacting millions. The thought of buying big-ticket items is out of the window for many. Kids generally don't care what they get, it's their adult caretakers who make a big deal out of not getting what they feel their kid deserves. The gift cards are a smart idea. A fourth commenter adds, not the jerk. But your entire family is… You know what's not Christmassy? Going to the whole family behind someone's back, bad-mouthing the gift someone got for them. Also, the fact that your parents simply brought the complaint to you as if you did anything wrong is also not Christmassy. Your parents should have told her to shut up and stop being a greedy, entitled person. They should be telling her that it's unrealistic to think that a minimum of $100 per kid for 3 kids for someone to spend. Their kids aren't the only ones people are buying for. And if your brother can't figure out a minimum of $300 on his kids alone might be a stretch for anyone, especially his 22-year-old sister, and is incredibly greedy of him and his wife, he's just not that smart. I wouldn't get any of them gifts this year, and you can gift your nippling experiences this year. Take each one out for a special day, doing their favorite thing.
And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.